Hey, Lindsay, how are you?
I'm feeling awesome, Michelle. How are things in New York City today?
You know what? My rent is too expensive, really.
Oh, your rent is too expensive. Oh, I mean, that sounds pretty typical, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it tends to
Pretty
happen.
par for the
Par for the
course.
course
Pretty
in New
far
York.
par from the course.
In New York City, I mean, it pretty much is, isn't it? Par for the course.
Yes. Yeah, it's pretty par for the course. Yeah, so we're repeating par for the course over it.
5 times.
So can you guys tell what this episode is going to be about, guys?
Right. Exactly, exactly. Um, okay, cool. Michelle, I think I'm lost in the notes. Where are you in the notes? I'm
Oh, I'm
looking
right
at it.
here.
Okay, cannot find you. Oh, that
Yeah.
was in a different episode. Okay, we're good. We don't need to stop. We're good. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Okay, here we go.
All
So,
right.
par for the course, guys. So today we are going to talk about this useful expression, par for the course. Head on over to episode 956 was how to spice up your typical weather conversations in
Mhm.
English. So this par for the course it deals with things that are typical. So we'll talk about them in a
Yes.
minute.
Yeah, and why is
Yeah.
this useful, Michelle, for, well, first of all, let's talk about why. Why do we need to
Yeah.
be able to say what's typical or what's standard in English?
Yeah. Well, it shows that you know something. I think first of all, you know something is typical, so you have some knowledge.
Mhm.
You have some background knowledge of something and just I would say that that's one of the main things. And also to kind of
Right.
in a way, this way about New York was kind of venting about it. And I was like, yeah, that I agree. It's too expensive. What do you think?
Yeah, it's kind of setting expectations. It's kind of saying it's kind of
True.
showing that you're a little bit worldly. Like you know that rent is high in New York, or like
Right.
we know that happens in that city, or we know that in LA people drive a ton, right? You live in
Right.
your car in Los Angeles.
Hmm.
Things like that where we can hint at kind of it's a little bit of a vanity thing. Like we know we can show the world that we know stuff.
True, true. Like, in a way, like, you saying I mean, in a way, I said my rent is too expensive, and you said that's kind of par for the course. In a little way, that's a little annoying.
Right. Also a little diminishing too, right?
Right, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, yeah, I know it is, but I'm just saying it's expensive. Like, I know that it's par for the course, so, like,
Well, Michelle, you
you
put
wouldn't
it in the
think
role play, like, what was I supposed to
I
do?
know, I did it. Lindsay, why are you being so annoying? It's almost like somebody wrote it for you.
Yeah,
How could you say that?
that's
But
interesting.
it really kind of depends.
Yeah.
So I use this. I wanted to do an episode on this because my mom used it with me recently. So
Ah,
it's one of those real life examples. Unfortunately, I can't remember what she said.
okay.
But it could have been something similar. But I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm gonna take that one. Lindsay, do you use this expression par for the course?
I don't use it, but I think I use similar ones.
Hmm.
This reminds me of the moment when this might sound a little weird, but so when I was in high school, I kind of didn't get the whole you work 40 hours a week as an adult. Like I didn't realize that that was how life works.
I don't think anybody does.
You don't realize like a loss of innocence. So I remember as a
Mm.
freshman in high school, my best friend Emma, she took on a job all day on Saturdays. Like she worked at a candy shop, which was great for me because I would go in and get candy. But I could not believe that she was working the whole day. Like this might sound a little tone deaf, I don't know, but I was like 15 years old, right? And I didn't know when I got older, I was going to have to work like for 40 hours of
Mm,
my life every week. And
mm,
someone could have said to me, "Oh, that's just run of the mill
mm,
career. That's just par for the course. This is being an adult."
mhm.
And it's like losing your innocence. You're like, "Oh my god, that's what my life is going to be when I get older."
Sometimes I think about that with, like, my son. I'm like, "Oh, he's so innocent," and, like,
Yeah.
one day he's gonna be, like, working, 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 and then I'm like, "Oh, like, enjoy,
Yeah.
little one, enjoy."
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So that's kind of a situation where we realize what the reality is about something,
Yeah.
and that's why it could sound a little
Right.
diminishing. Like people aren't listening. I don't like this. Well, that's how it is. That's
Yeah,
standard.
it's like that expression, "It is what it is,"
It is what it is.
you
Exactly.
know?
Exactly.
Do you think it's formal, informal? Could you use it on a job interview? What are your thoughts?
You mean par for the course?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's an idiom. I guess you could use it on a job interview. I don't think it's informal. I think it's It's fine. It's standard,
I think it's
I
fine.
would
I think
say.
it's a pretty diverse, expression.
Yeah.
Let's give a couple other examples. So you
Okay.
could say, late hours are par for the course when you work in finance.
Yes, and finding out that that's gonna be the case, right? If maybe you decide to major in finance as a freshman, but you don't
Yeah.
realize that if that means that after college, you're gonna be working until 11 p.m. on Wall Street, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's hard to realize.
I remember when I had my first my internship in New York, and I interned at a record company, and
Yeah.
I worked hard, and I loved it. And I remember one of my roommates, she interned in finance, and she worked really hard even as an intern,
Mhm.
and she
Yeah.
would come home in her business suit, and we'd all been home for hours,
Yep.
like going out
Uh-huh.
exploring New York, having fun, and she would be
Uh
like in the shower like, so
It's a certain kinda life. I know someone that works at Goldman Sachs, and I know I'm sure you know investment bankers too, right? Like,
yeah,
it is a choice. It for sure
yeah.
is, and I don't know how sustainable it is over the long, long term. Like, 20 years of a career, I don't know how sustainable it is.
I don't know, but I know that, like, I remember her saying that, a lot of people, they make, like, their fortune, like, in the
Yes.
beginning, just work really, really hard, and then they can relax. So I
Yeah.
don't know if how true that is.
Well, I mean, I guess if you put your money on the stock market or something, it could be true if you're investing that young,
Yeah.
but that's another conversation about
Yes.
finance.
Yes.
Anyways.
Anyway, but late hours are par for the course. What's another
Yeah.
example?
Here we go. We could say, I don't like missing out on sleep, but it's par for the course as a parent. Oh gosh, yes. Yes. Even as a
Yeah.
non-parent, I know this, right? I know that you guys are getting up in the middle of the night and baby's crying and oh my gosh. How do you do
And
it?
I don't know.
Aren't you tired?
Uh, yes, I'm exhausted all the time. I am exhausted all the time, but, I don't know, I guess I just got used to it, but it still
Yeah.
can be really hard.
Mm.
But yeah, but if I said to someone like, "Oh, I'm so tired. Yeah, my kids got up," like, and they just said like, "Oh, yeah, that's pretty par for the course." That's like, yeah, I know, like, but it doesn't mean that I can't, vent or say that I'm tired. It doesn't like
Yeah, it's diminishing. It's diminishing. It's
yeah.
like it's kind of like you're not being heard, right? You're not being
Yeah.
heard. Yeah.
And I think but that doesn't mean, guys, that whenever you say this expression is diminishing. I think it can be that way if somebody's venting to you about something and
Mhm.
you, like, just use that to say, "Well, yeah, yeah, what do you," it's almost like saying,
What do
like,
you
"Well, what do you
expect?
expect?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like yeah, so but that doesn't mean that, there aren't other ways to use it,
Mhm.
that aren't obnoxious.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So you can decide, what does that person need? This is a connection
Yeah,
skill in English.
right.
What does the person need in that moment? Do they need you to say, "Oh my gosh, I can't imagine how you do it," or do they need you to say, "Yeah, that's all what all parents do, you're
Right,
okay." Maybe
right.
sometimes they do need you to just normalize that for them,
True.
so they know they're in it with everyone else. We're all in the same boat, something like that. But that's for another episode for another
That's true.
time too.
That's a good no, but that's a good question. That's a good thing to bring up. So Lindsay, I don't know. Like, if you say something is typical or something is usual. I mean, I feel
Mhm.
like par for the course is more zippy, as we like to
More
say. I feel like it's
zippy.
fun. I feel like it has a little bit more attitude.
Yeah.
But there are other ways to do this, and I have a question. I mean, Lindsay, what is par for the course as a business owner?
I would say par for the course, the thing that all business owners could share in general, if they have a team, is stress about payroll. Payroll is a source of stress for every business owner, like par for the course. It's just part of owning a business. Thinking about
Mhm.
it, worrying about it. That's just how it is, right? It's normal. It's okay. Like these are things that are okay about life, but
Mhm.
they're
Mhm.
typical for a certain group of people, right?
Right. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And do you think this expression has a negative or a positive connotation, or it really just depends?
I think it really depends. I guess this probably comes from golf, right? Because
Par for
isn't
the course.
par
Yeah, I guess
isn't it
so.
in golf like a par
A
5 or is the
par. Yeah,
expectation of
something
how
with
many
par.
swings you'll need? I th
Oh yeah, something like that.
Right.
We're
Okay.
not
We're
golfers,
not
guys. If
golfers
you're
clearly.
golfers, let us
Yeah,
know.
you should look that up too, just to be clear. But yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. Depends on what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So let's talk about some other ways to express this idea. So we talked about this. We already used some of these. Um, Standard, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and I think I also threw that in when I was talking about seeing that Emma was working 40 hours a week, like, or 8 hours a day on a Saturday. It's standard. This is what we do as adults. It's typical, right?
Mhm.
Standard is
Mhm.
good. Run of the mill, right? As we've just said,
Mhm.
I love this one.
Run of the
This one
mill.
I would use more often than par for the course. It's just more it's in my vocabulary a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I didn't even know how to spell this, so I meant to say the "huge." We may have talked about this a little bit,
Oh,
right? So, "Oh, yeah, but that's the huge." You could
that's the
say, "Oh, the huge."
huge. Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
For
I like
short
that.
for usual, you could say something like that.
I like that.
So, yeah, but these are all ways to, you have to think about how you're using them and why you're using them,
Mhm.
but they can be very useful in conversations.
I think so. So let's give our listeners a role play because we know our
Let's
listeners
do
love
it.
that to see how this is actually used. So here we go. I know
Okay.
let's see. I know it's standard to feel tired when you're sick, but I'm just exhausted, Michelle.
Sounds like your run-of-the-mill cold.
Yeah, par for the course when you don't get enough sleep.
Yeah, definitely the huge for me.
Huge. I like that. Interesting. Do you use that in your normal conversations? The
I
huge?
might. The huge,
Cool.
it's the huge.
Okay.
Yeah, could.
Yeah.
I might.
Cool, cool. All right, cool. So what did we say here? What did we say?
You said, "I know it's standard to feel tired when you're sick, but I'm just exhausted."
Yeah. So, then you said it sounds like you're run of the mill cold, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you could have said your typical cold, or you could said your that cold sounds par for the course. So, but here you said par for the course when you don't get enough sleep.
Yeah, it's expected when you don't sleep enough. We can
Expected.
expect this to happen, right? And
Yeah,
then you said, "Yeah, definitely the huge for me." So you're saying usually when you don't sleep enough, you get sick,
right.
right? Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so that's what we said. And Lindsay, is there anything that in your life that you think of as being
Typical
standard, par for the course? Yeah.
sunshine and hiking, Michelle.
Yeah, that's good.
A good
Par for the
life.
course when you're Lindsay
Yeah.
McMahon.
Life is good. Yeah, just I think getting outside, right, on the
Yeah.
weekends, trying not to be inside as much as I can. What about you, Michelle? What's par for the course outside of the kids? Just like, I don't know, something like what's par for the course for you? Like, what do you expect to experience on a
What
daily
do I
basis?
walking.
Yes, that's so true. That is so true in New York, right?
Yes.
That is par for the
Walking is
course in New
par for
York.
the course, but it's great. I love it. It's my favorite thing.
I love that so good. I miss all that walking. I miss, the New York lifestyle, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Do you wait, can you walk everywhere from your apartment or
The thing is Denver is wider, like, I think it's multiple miles the city span it's more spread out. The western cities are just more spread out, whereas East Coast
Mm.
cities, Boston, New York, are very condensed, and
Mhm.
so I can't really walk as many places. I do a lot of scooting. I don't
Oh, really?
I scoot more.
I
Yeah,
didn't know
scooting is
that.
fun. Oh, it's hot here. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's
It's
fun. Do you wear a
really fun.
helmet?
It's actually super fun. You feel like you're a kid again. You get on these little scooters and it goes about 15 miles an hour max, and you
Uh-huh.
rent it like a Lyft.
Oh, cool. Do you wear a helmet, Lindsay?
I don't know, I don't do that. I know that's crazy, but
Lindsay.
it's just not I don't carry one with me, and I never know when I'm gonna jump on a scooter, but I should.
Yeah,
I should.
I know. You should. Anyway, well, stay safe out there.
Yeah, good
That's
stuff.
pretty
All right,
cool.
Michelle. Good
I
s
will talk to you later.
All right, take care. Have a good one. Bye.
All right, bye.